8 flights, complete transformation, full reusability. Those 3 words define SpaceX's 2026 Starship plan. While competitors like New Glenn and Neutron gear up for their debuts, SpaceX is preparing the most radical evolution Starship has ever seen. What makes 2026 the turning point? This is the year Starship stops being just a test vehicle and starts delivering real value. Orbital missions, payload deployments, and refueling tests that could rewrite spaceflight economics. Let's dive right in. Here's why 8 flights matter more than any number SpaceX has hit before. In 2024, Starship flew 6 times. In 2025, we're tracking toward a similar pace. But 2026 isn't about quantity, it's about quality. Each of these 8 missions builds on the last, creating a progression that transforms Starship from prototype to operational vehicle. SpaceX has completed 11 Starship flights across 2 major versions, 3 successful booster catches, steady improvements in ship landing control. But every successful flight has also revealed new problems: COPV failures, propellant leaks, igniter malfunctions, heat shield damage during both ascent and re-entry. These aren't minor glitches, they're engineering challenges that demand solutions before Starship becomes truly reliable. That's exactly what makes the first mission of 2026 so critical. This will be the debut of Starship V3, and that designation isn't just marketing. The booster gets upgraded grid fins and further validation of hot staging separation. The ship receives a completely revised heat shield design after the damage seen on previous flights. Both stages will fly with Raptor 3 engines, representing a massive leap in thrust, efficiency, and manufacturability compared to Raptor 2. These aren't incremental updates. This is a fundamental redesign of Starship's core systems. But here's the tension. This flight carries forward objectives from earlier missions: payload deployment, engine relight in space, while simultaneously testing brand new hardware. That dual mandate creates risk. With so many test objectives packed into one mission, SpaceX has planned for both stages to land in the ocean rather than attempt catches. This conservative approach signals just how crucial success is for everything that follows. A minor failure might only delay the program by weeks, but a catastrophic failure could trigger investigations that stretch for months, giving competitors like Blue Origin and China's space program a window to close the gap. Can SpaceX afford that risk when New Glenn has already reached orbit with methane engines? Assuming success, the next mission becomes the most consequential of the year. This is where Starship finally reaches orbit. Not a suborbital hop, not a partial trajectory. True orbital insertion with sustained velocity and altitude. Why does this matter so much when Starship has already flown to space multiple times? Because orbit changes everything. Without orbital capability, Starship can't compete in the commercial launch market. It can't deliver payloads to their intended destinations. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Starship isn't the first methane-fueled rocket to reach orbit anymore. Blue Origin's New Glenn did it. China's Zhuke-2 and Zhuke-3 beat them there. The flight profile will likely push farther than any previous mission, with the ship possibly completing more than one full orbit before landing in the Atlantic. Why would SpaceX choose the harder path? Because future operations demand it. Returning the ship to Starbase for catch and reuse requires mastering extended orbital duration, thermal exposure over multiple passes, and navigation accuracy across thousands of miles. SpaceX will also continue deploying dummy payloads, but now in true orbital conditions where timing, velocity, and trajectory precision matter exponentially more than on suborbital flights. This sets the stage for what comes next: Starship's first deployment of real, operational payloads. Not mass simulators, not dummy satellites, actual Starlink V3 satellites designed to expand and enhance the network. These satellites are larger and more capable than previous generations, and their mass closely matches the simulators SpaceX has been flying. That's not coincidence, it's preparation. Deploying real satellites introduces complexity that test payloads can't replicate. The deployment maneuvers must be executed with extreme precision. Satellites can't collide with each other during separation, and now we're doing this in orbit, where navigation timing and trajectory calculations become far more critical. One mistake doesn't just fail the mission, it could compromise months of network planning. But here's what makes this significant beyond the technical challenge. Starship V3 is designed to carry up to 100 tons to orbit. Version 4 could eventually reach 200 tons. A successful Starlink V3 deployment proves that capacity isn't theoretical, it's operational. SpaceX has been building Starlink with Falcon 9 for years, launching roughly 15 tons per flight. How fast could SpaceX complete the constellation if they can launch 100 tons of satellites per mission instead? These 3 successful missions create the foundation for what no aerospace organization has ever done: full 2-stage recovery of an Orbital-class rocket. Both the Super Heavy booster and the ship return to Starbase and get caught by Mechazilla arms, both towers operating simultaneously. This isn't just a technical milestone, it's the moment Starship's economic promise becomes real. The risk here is enormous. The ship will travel farther than the booster, enduring a punishing re-entry before attempting a precision landing. The heat shield must perform flawlessly. The structure must remain stable under thermal stress. The flight control systems must nail the trajectory with zero margin for error. SpaceX has likely considered abort scenarios where the ship diverts to an ocean landing if any systems show degradation. But the goal is clear: demonstrate that both stages can return home ready for rapid reuse. If successful, this unlocks everything Elon Musk has promised about Starship economics: fast turnaround, minimal refurbishment, launch costs that drop by orders of magnitude, flight frequency that makes weekly launches routine instead of exceptional. With core capabilities proven in these first 4 flights, the second half of 2026 focuses on Starship's most critical enabling technology: orbital refueling. Without this capability, everything beyond low Earth orbit remains impossible. Moon missions can't happen. Mars missions stay theoretical. Deep space ambitions depend entirely on SpaceX proving they can transfer cryogenic propellants between vehicles in orbit. SpaceX plans multiple orbital refueling tests in 2026 using Starship Block 3 hardware. Original timelines suggested June, but that's now more realistically July or August. SpaceX has already made progress. Refueling connection hardware was installed on Ship 39 and will be tested during 2026 flights to confirm durability before full system integration. 4 flights are necessary just to establish basic proficiency. Early attempts won't involve seamless back-to-back launches. One long-duration mission could launch first to test propellant storage and boil-off management, followed by a second mission to perform the actual transfer. That's one demonstration. Double it for redundancy and validation, and you need 4 flights minimum. The technical challenge is extreme. You're connecting 2 massive vehicles traveling at 17,500 miles per hour in orbit. You're transferring supercooled methane and liquid oxygen between tanks while managing thermal gradients and pressure differentials. You're doing this autonomously because human oversight can't react fast enough to orbital dynamics. These 8 missions represent more than just flight tests. They represent a deliberate progression from experimental vehicle to operational system. Each success builds confidence. Each failure provides data. And by the end of 2026, Starship will either have proven itself as the most capable launch vehicle ever created, or SpaceX will have identified exactly what needs to change before that becomes reality. So here's what we're really looking at: These 8 flights aren't random test missions spread across a calendar. They're a carefully orchestrated sequence where each success enables the next leap forward. The first 4 missions, proving V3 upgrades, reaching orbit, deploying real payloads, and achieving full reusability, these establish Starship as an operational vehicle. The second 4 missions tackle orbital refueling, the technology that unlocks everything beyond Earth orbit. Miss any step in this sequence, and the entire timeline shifts. Nail every step, and by the end of 2026, Starship stops competing with other rockets and starts rewriting the economics of spaceflight entirely. Will SpaceX hit all 8 missions this year? The timeline is aggressive, especially with the first flight now sliding into February. But even if the schedule stretches into early 2027, the progression remains the same. What matters is that each mission proves capabilities the space industry has never seen at this scale. Full reusability, 100-ton payload capacity, in-orbit refueling. These aren't incremental improvements, they're fundamental shifts in what's possible. The next 12 months will answer questions the aerospace industry has debated for decades. Can you make orbit-class rockets fully reusable? Can you make space access cheap enough to support massive infrastructure beyond Earth? Can one company move fast enough to stay ahead of global competition? We're about to find out, and you'll want to follow every step of this journey. If you're invested in seeing where this goes, hit that like button and subscribe to Space Update 24 hours so you don't miss any developments. Drop Starship 26 in the comments if you believe this is the year everything changes. And share this with anyone who needs to understand why 2026 matters. Because this isn't just another year of testing. This is the year Starship either proves itself or shows us exactly what still needs fixing. Either way, the answer is coming fast. A Mars trip today takes 6 to 8 months. That's half a year of deadly cosmic radiation, dwindling supplies, and 0 rescue options. Elon Musk just announced Starship V4 will stretch up to 20% longer than V3. Sounds like a simple size upgrade, right? Wrong. This single change could cut that nightmare journey time in half and dramatically slash the death risk for the first Mars crew. How does making a rocket taller actually save lives? Let's dive right in. Here's what most people miss about Mars travel. It's not the distance that kills you, it's time. Every single day a crew spends in deep space, they're getting bombarded by cosmic radiation. We're talking about high-energy particles that slice through the spacecraft hull like it's not even there. On Earth, our atmosphere and magnetic field block this. In space, you're naked to the universe. 6 months of exposure? That's equivalent to getting multiple full-body CT scans every single week. The cancer risk